Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another Hughes Views broadcast podcast, affectionately titled The Side Notes, which is a phrase that I use when I get completely and totally distracted from making a useful point. I owe you guys an apology, and I want to start by providing that apology. And hello to everyone who is joining us via the YouTube chat. If you are not subscribed to the channel, by all means. And also, you'll see a pinned link. People will wonder where they could get stuff. Sherwin, I want a t-shirt. You do? Sherwin, I want a coffee mug. Say what? I even got a message on the YouTube channel comment page. Sherwin, do you have shot glasses? We do now. So by all means, take a look, take a gander. I'm going to be adding more stuff as time goes on. Support the channel and wear Hughes Views 414 stuff if you are so inclined. But don't let me get away from my apology. I don't want to shirk my responsibility to you all. And when I'm wrong, I can admit it now. It's a very important thing. If you're wrong, to admit it. I'll admit when I'm wrong. If I made a mistake, I'll own up to it. And then hopefully the person will find it in their heart to forgive. And there was something I stood on for a very long time. I got caught. Let me tell you how I got caught. Because I suggested something that I didn't think would ever happen. I had this great idea, and the idea became very popular. But I didn't think it was ever going to get implemented. Now, most of you, I'd imagine, are from Milwaukee that are listening to this broadcast, and maybe we venture out to people outside of Milwaukee. But you guys know about the summertime festival season in the city of Milwaukee, and there's something that always bothers me about the summer festival season, and this is probably the 15th or 16th year that I have been bothered by the summer festival season. And because I know how our summer festival season is in Milwaukee, and we are the city of festivals, we have all of the ethnic festivals. You name an ethnicity or a nationality, we have a weekend long, actually more than a weekend, like Thursday through Sunday, German Fest, Irish Fest, Polish Fest, Asian Moon, Indian Summer, all of the different groups that create the diversity. It's a bunch of different flavors of white people, really, because most of the festivals are actually white people. But I would rather a white person be proud to be Irish, be proud to be German, be proud to be Polish, be proud to be Italian than just proud to be white. Because like with a nationality, it makes sense because like that's music, that's food, that's culture, that's dance. And the reason why we have these ethnic festivals and the reason why I'm so very upset at the ethnic festivals is that they're supposed to showcase the heritage and the culture of those other nationalities, right? A black person's supposed to go to Polish Fest to learn about Polish people. All we know about is eating fried Polish sausages. Shout out to the Polish. You make a delicious sausage. Germans ain't no punks either now. A bratwurst? I like kraut and mustard on my bratwurst. I don't know how y'all take your brats. Got to get a good, like one of those brat rolls, like a Kaiser roll. Very good. The whites know how to make a sausage. But there's no African World Festival. And we have not had an African World Festival in this city since 2010. And when we had it in 2010, if I'm not mistaken, it was not a full weekend. It was maybe one night, maybe two. It wasn't the full Thursday through Sunday. I think it was just on a Saturday night, and Charlie Wilson performed because Charlie Wilson always performs at any kind of black event or black festival in Milwaukee. Charlie Wilson must just be easy to get. And that bothered me because black people have a culture and a heritage worth celebrating. Now, I'm going to get to Juneteenth Day in a minute. I'm also going to get to my apology, but I got to set the apology up. We are 40% of the population in the city of Milwaukee. We have black leaders everywhere. We have black leaders and black elected officials in this city in places that I never even thought we would have them. Having a black sheriff is not new. We had our first black sheriff in the 90s. His name was Richard Artisan. Black mayor, black county executive, 2 black candidates running for governor. One of those is a former black first lieutenant governor, the chairwoman of the county board. of the 15 members of the Milwaukee Common Council, a majority, 8 of them are black. So we are making monumental progress, yet it seems that people don't really know us and we don't have a culture that is worth exhibiting on the Summerfest grounds. And those of you that are not familiar with Milwaukee, we have I'm telling you what, it's called the Henry Mayer Meyer Festival Park. It is 70 acres of just its beauty. It's like how do you even describe it to someone that's never been to the Summerfest grounds before? It's a festival park. It's mostly paved, but you have these beautiful views of Lake Michigan and you have vendors all over the place and it's walkable and you have music stages everywhere and everybody participates in their different ethnic festivals except for us. There was an opportunity to bring it back, but the board at the time, and they hate when I bring this up because members of that board are still around to this day, and they fucked it up. A couple of local corporations would have sponsored it. It would have been like the Northwestern Mutual or Johnson Controls presents African World Festival. And of course, those corporations would have had their signage everywhere. And the board was like, no, we don't want corporate signage at our festival, which I totally understand that. Now, I'm not sure if the other ethnic festivals have sold out to corporations, but at the time, that board, the African World Festivals Board, was like, we don't want to take corporate money for our festival. Fine. But if you don't take corporate money for your festival, you got to raise the money yourself, and they didn't do it. It's also extremely expensive. The cost then, I don't know what it is now. You have to rent and lease the park. You need insurance. You got to hire vendors. You got to hire union vendors. You need electricians to come and do all the wiring for all the generating. You got to set up the stages. You got to have lights. It's really expensive. It was something like $330,000 in fixed setup costs for the weekend for any ethnic festival. I'm assuming it's more than that now, but that's the number that it was back then. And we couldn't raise it. For whatever reason, black folks couldn't come up with $335,000 for the weekend. But you make that money back because you charge admission, right? You charge for tickets. You get $15 beers that you charge for. So you spend this money to get everything set up, to hire all the people, to hire all the contractors, to set up all the electricity and the lights, and you bring in your act. That's another, let's say Charlie Wilson, who's probably cheap. Charlie Wilson might have been, I don't know, 50 grand. And so now you're out $385,000. But if you get 100,000 people to come, and each of the 100,000 people spends an average of $10, you just made $1 million. And they were not able to put that together and to pull that off. And that's very, very disappointing. So here's the idea that I came up with, because I get a little jealous, I think. I hate a little bit because being on air during the day, I talk about all the different things that are going on, whatever weekend that we are facing in the city of Milwaukee. And I'm talking about all these different ethnic festivals, but I can't mention the ethnic festival for African Americans because we don't have one. And we are the largest ethnic group in the city of Milwaukee. So that's a problem. So I came up with this idea some years ago, and I was like, well, Juneteenth Day needs to be at the Summerfest grounds. When Juneteenth Day became a federal holiday, I thought it was going to get its due, right? It was going to get recognized and appreciated and respected as the holiday it always should have been. So we need to have it at the Summerfest grounds, and I thought I was going to be a good substitute for not having an African World Festival. I said it because I never thought the World Festivals Board, which I don't know if there's much African American representation on that board, they have to approve everything that goes on at the Summerfest grounds. Little fun fact, the mayor gets to appoint some of the people that are on that board. And it pays too. It's a decent paying job. But you get to oversee all the ethnic festivals. That is the World Festivals Board. And I kept hammering on it, like, yeah, we need Juneteenth Day to be recognized like the 4th of July because that's America's real Independence Day. And I was just a jaw jacking because I knew it would never happen. Well, maybe 2023, certainly 2024, Summerfest had a continuation of Juneteenth Day on the Summerfest grounds. And I was like, damn, they did it. And then I realized something. They'll do a continuation, and now they're doing a bigger. Now they're doing a whole weekend. The first weekend of Summerfest. I'm gonna put an article up for you in a second. So now the first week, I should have kept my mouth shut because sometimes when you challenge the system here in the city of Milwaukee, it's the same system, and the people are related. The people that created the systems of segregation in this city, like the descendants of those people, are still around. I think they still have the same attitude as the people that wanted Milwaukee segregated by race 60 and 70 years ago. And so I push those people. I challenge those people because I know that they're not going to move because I know in their hearts they still want Milwaukee to be the Milwaukee that their grandparents grew up in, one where the blacks are over here and everybody else is over there. And other ethnicities were segregated too. The Polish and the Italian. The Italians were in the third ward, and the Polish were on the south side. Like Milwaukee loved its little separate spheres, right? And so when I push and I push and I push, and I say, yeah, we need to have Juneteenth at the Summerfest grounds. Somebody obliged, and I'm not saying that it was me and my clamoring about it, but it happened. And guess what? I didn't even go to it. I was like, I'm not going. I don't want to go. Well, this year they are dedicating, I think, the first weekend of Summerfest. I'm also not a fan of how Summerfest has become this 3 separate weekend thing. I'm not crazy about that. Summerfest to me should be 11 straight days of nonstop, continuous fun and music, and the 3 weekend thing is just, it's not for me. But also Summerfest to me is more of a touristy thing because I see live music all throughout the year, so I don't need to go to Summerfest and see my live music. But they did it. They combined the two. But then that makes me even more disappointed that you essentially have a single day, Juneteenth Day, which is a big deal. However, I haven't been in the Juneteenth Day parade in a while. I'm sick of them. I don't go to them anymore because they're such a headache. And it's supposed to be a great time. I started my rebellion against Juneteenth Day. I'll get to that in a second, but I'm probably not going to be. I shouldn't say that. We are owned by another company, and they very well may require me to be in the Juneteenth Day parade and participate in Juneteenth Day activities with Milwaukee Black Media 1017 The Truth. But I really don't want to do it, and I haven't been to Juneteenth Day in the last couple of years just because my longest work day of the year is Juneteenth Day, a day in which I saw my white colleagues at other radio stations and other media outlets have the day off, or it's a floating holiday, or it's a paid holiday. When you got to line up for that Juneteenth Day parade, you have to be situated and parked by like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. And then the parade is late. The parade is going to start late. Then you go through the parade moving at 2 miles an hour. And then you get to the end of the parade route, and there's no transportation back to the area in the booth in which 1017 The Truth is broadcasting from. So I'm in the parade, get to the end of the parade route, get out of the vehicle, and now have to walk and then broadcast all day at Juneteenth Day. And then when it's over, I have to find a way back to my vehicle, which is parked on some random street that I probably forgot about somewhere deep on the north side of the city of Milwaukee. And it's like 4 or 5 o'clock by the time I'm done. Ain't no way. So this year, they have combined Summerfest and Northcott's Neighborhood House Juneteenth celebration details for 2026. They've commercialized our holiday, and now you have to buy tickets for it, and it's going to be very expensive. They basically took the blueprint of what our African World Festival will be. Now there's no need to have an African World Festival. And because for so long, I was like, yeah, we need a better, and I did agree that we needed to better celebrate Juneteenth Day because a lot of white folks don't even know it, and it's really, they need to know it. They're so devoid of our history. And I was like, no, this is a good idea. Juneteenth Day needs to be elevated because it is a celebration, in my opinion. And we have one of the biggest, longest, oldest Juneteenth Day celebrations in the country in Milwaukee. We actually hit it out of the park with certain things. We have one of the longest running between us and Atlanta. We also have the longest running and largest Dr. Martin Luther King Day. I think we started celebrating our Dr. Martin Luther King Day because we have whole day extravaganzas for King Day. We started either in 82 or 84, right around the time Atlanta did, and Ebenezer Baptist Church is where Dr. King used to preach at. So we actually do our part in holding up and lifting up Black culture here in Milwaukee. But now that because Summerfest is insanely expensive. It's insanely, insanely expensive. And I have a feeling that the vendors that will be there, now there's going to be some of our folks there, but I don't know if our businesses that have smaller capacities are going to be able to afford the vendor fees to have their goods and their wares available at Summerfest. But with this commercialization of Juneteenth, which I'm sorry that I asked for it. Like they can say now, like, oh no, you don't need a Juneteenth Day because look what we've done for you. Look, you have Juneteenth Day now at Summerfest. I still think we need an African World Festival. Article says during the festival's official opening ceremony, June 18th at 6 p.m., Summerfest will recognize the recipients of the Northcott Neighborhood House's Juneteenth Scholarship Pageant. Hosted annually as part of Northcott's Juneteenth celebration, the pageant honors outstanding African American youth, including Miss Juneteenth and Mr. Juneteenth, ages 14 and 18, as well as Little Miss Juneteenth and Mr. Juneteenth Jr., ages 8 to 13. Summerfest is honored to support this program, which showcases leadership and achievement within the Milwaukee community. Oh, look, Charlie Wilson is going to be. I didn't even know that. When I was talking about Charlie Wilson before, I didn't even read this far down in the article. R&B icon Charlie Wilson with support from Danny Boy will help kick off Summerfest opening day with a can't-miss performance at the BMO Pavilion. I'm actually a fan of Danny Boy's music. Milwaukee World Festival will participate in Milwaukee's Juneteenth Parade on June 19th, joining the community in celebrating one of the nation's longest-running Juneteenth traditions. In addition, a special Summerfest admission promotion will help give back to the community. So maybe it's not the whole weekend. It says food donation will be accepted at the Midgate. Music will be featured across multiple Summerfest stages. Okay, let me see. On June 19th, with a mix of national and local artists, including Don Tolliver with Saw Baby, Shay, Sofago, So Camo, Chase B, Lilo at the American Family Insurance Amphitheater, along with the Family Stone's 50th anniversary tour. That's a decent music lineup. Tyrese is going to be there. Chris Crane, Fees, Emmett James, Troy Tyler, Jasmine, and Ben Mulwan. Is this all? Then you have this. What is this here? A Taste of Juneteenth. Saturday, June 20th. Maybe it is all weekend long. June 20th, A Taste of Juneteenth. Oh, this is. Yeah, it's all weekend. Right? June 19th and June 20th. So Friday and Saturday. All right. Well, I'm still not happy about it. But I like those musical acts. That's good. And I think this also, because didn't we complain about not having enough Black acts and R&B acts and hip hop acts at Summerfest? That doesn't bother me. That the white folks don't want Black acts at Summerfest, because Summerfest is extremely expensive, it's inconvenient, and why have a bunch of Black acts if the African American community is not able to come out and enjoy them because of the cost? Now, there are ways every single day that you can get into Summerfest for free, but you got to be there at a certain time, and if you bring like ice cream packaged tops and canned goods or whatever, but that still doesn't override the cost of of going to the festival, not to mention parking and everything else. So I'd like to say hello to the people that are chatting along with us. So what do you guys think? Am I blowing this thing out of proportion? Because I want African American culture to have a place in a space where it can be celebrated, where we can showcase who we are and be free from violence. Because when we don't have exhibitions and celebrations of who we are, then people tend to just think we are as presented in the media and on the news, and the dreaded homicide rates that always seem to go up during the warm weather months that more often than not involve African Americans or take place on one side of town versus the other. I still think that we should have a festival that is the full weekend, that is the African World Festival that a lot of us remember from the 1980s and the 1990s, and the stubbornness of a board to not accept corporate money. While I respect that, it's embarrassing because we have so much African American leadership. The amount of money, I'm gonna give you a snapshot of money. It's kind of different. It's kind of like an apples to oranges comparison. But the amount of money that David Crowley is going to raise for his run for governor, and what he's already raised, he's probably raised over $1 million. What Danita Ball is going to raise in her reelection for sheriff, what Cavalier Johnson has in his campaign coffers, what 8 of the 15 black alders are going to raise for their reelection campaigns. I'm talking about tens of millions of dollars that is raised and banked by just our black elected officials. They, in and of themselves, can raise and have demonstrated the ability to raise millions and millions of dollars for their reelection campaigns. It could be as simple as the African World Festival sponsored by your black elected officials and literally nobody else. Because the World Festivals Board that oversees and that owns the Summerfest ground, like, that's a nonprofit. And if I'm not mistaken, elected officials can donate campaign money to nonprofit organizations. I'm just giving you an example. The money is there and it can be raised. I just want us to be recognized as a culture that is worthy of celebrating at the Summerfest grounds, like the German Fest, the Polish Fest, Festa Italiana. And what's crazy is that black people really do go to those other festivals, and we'll spend money there and we'll buy their food. Because the vendors, it'll be like at Festa Italiana, all Italian restaurants. Some of the clothes and stuff that they have there, all designed by Italian people. We're putting money directly into their community. The Italians are serious about this. They have their own community center, the ICC. I'm sure you guys have been there before. I've been there for weddings, for presentations. I've been there for retreats. They built the Italian Community Center. It cost them $10 million to build that Italian Community Center in the Third Ward, which makes sense. It's in the Third Ward because that used to be the old Italian neighborhood. They built that with their own community's money. And that also kind of flies in the face of us as well, because the Italians, this was years and decades ago, they put together the money to build themselves a community center. We have that money too, but I don't know if we have enough positive direction for the disposable and expendable income of African Americans, because I think that we are worthy of having a festival. And what they're doing at Summerfest, I don't know, y'all, if this satisfies me. How do y'all feel about it? I want to make sure you guys are, if you're okay with it, I guess I'm okay with it too. I'm going to pull up my phones and I am going to, we missed a phone call. I always am missing the phone calls. I think that was it. That might have been yesterday. So I didn't miss any calls today. Thank goodness. All right, let's see what you guys are talking about. You guys are all saying hello to each other. Hey, that one guy, you asked for shot glasses in the Hughes Views merchandise store. I got you shot glasses now. You said you wanted some. I got a couple different designs if you want to support the channel. Check out the pinned link. Go check out some of the dope merchandise we have in a way you can support the channel. Miles says, now every time I see anything about donations, I see tax breaks. That's a good thing, right? If you donate to a 501c3, you donate to a church, all your church donations are tax deductible. Jasmine, hello. Thank you, Jasmine, for ordering a shirt. Jasmine, you're going to be stylish. Be careful, Jasmine. because when you wear the Hughes Views 414 merchandise, men are going to just start following you around. I'm sure they already do. Now you're going to have to beat them off with the bat. When I say beat them off, I mean shoo them away with a weapon. Don't beat off the men. Let's see what else we got going on here. Collector's Reign, thank you for joining us. It looks like you guys are just chatting amongst yourselves in the YouTube conversation. Maybe I'm overreacting and I should be happy that we're going to have 2 days of, I guess, recognition for Juneteenth Day. You know how many white folks are unfamiliar with Juneteenth Day? How? I seriously have to. So if you're a 50-year-old white person and you grew up maybe somewhere in southeastern Wisconsin, well, I guess you're not in school June 19th. Maybe that's part of the problem. And for black people, it's very personal because it's a big deal. June 19th, 1865 is not when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. That shit was signed in 1863. But the last enslaved person didn't hear about it, which they knew. They just didn't want to tell us. We had been free for 2.5 years. The last person or the last plantation was liberated June 19th, 1865, therefore ushering our new pathway into freedom. And I think that's something worth celebrating. But one of the reasons why I think most white people, or not enough white people, didn't grow up knowing what it was because they weren't happy about it. I don't think they have been happy about our freedom since its inception, because the Civil War was not about freeing us. You think that America would ever fight a war for us? Absolutely not. The United States was not nearly as big as it is right now in 1865, and there was territorial expansion because they were just stealing land from Native Americans. The question was, were all of the new states and new territories, Nebraska, Kansas, Missouri, et cetera, and everything west, were those going to be slave states or free states? That's what the war was over. The pro-slavery South wanted more slave states to increase their industry in trafficking of human beings, because that's what it was. It was human trafficking. And they also wanted more representatives in Congress elected from new slave states. So California, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, all of that territory had yet to be settled. And it ultimately was settled because it created the modern West. Were those going to be free states or slave states? And because the Union won the Civil War, the rest of those territories that became the modern West, Arizona, New Mexico, et cetera, everything west of Texas and west of Oklahoma, were free states. The South wanted all that territory to be slave states. That's what the war was over. But you would think that would be a pretty monumental moment in American history. But we make Juneteenth Day and the freedom of the slaves about us. It's not about us. It was about stopping the territorial expansion of slavery, because slave labor competed with wage labor and industrial labor that northern cities were relying on. The North could not adopt a system of slavery, and it was mostly agricultural. You can't grow shit year-round in Wisconsin, so even if you did have slavery and an agricultural economy in Wisconsin, it's snow on the ground half of the year. What are your slaves going to do? Shovel? I don't think I'm going to go to the Juneteenth Day parade. I'm saying it here, but also might have to eat my words once again, because with the new ownership of the radio station that I work for during the day, so the truth is going to be there at Juneteenth Day. I don't know what the day is going to look like, but I used to make my colleagues, when I worked for Good Karma Brands, because they got mad because I told them I'm not going to be in the Juneteenth Day parade. I'm not doing it. I'm not having my longest work day be on Black Independence Day. Like, I need that day off. They got mad because they weren't going to go. Like my white colleagues at Good Karma Brands, they were never going to attend Juneteenth. I think some of them came. They would come visit our broadcast booth. A few of them did come the first year, because when the truth first started, we were celebrated as a new radio station and a new brand by our colleagues at Good Karma Brands, but it faded. Something happened, and I was unaware of what happened, how we went from darling, from baby to damn near enemy, and then we ended up getting sold. You don't sell something that you love or that you care about. You sell something because you're tired of it, you're sick of it, or maybe you sell it just out of necessity. Black radio is not typically profitable. I'm going to tell you why. You know what is profitable? Black entertainment, black celebrity gossip, like nonsense. Like that's profitable. Corporations will invest and advertise on that. They don't invest in activism. They don't invest in people that are liberated in their thinking and then may push back on white supremacy. Corporations do not want to be associated with controversy. That's why black radio is very, very difficult to make profitable. Now, when it's an election, because candidates that want to promote themselves to black voters, extremely profitable. I think black radio, black media makes more money during campaign season. I know we do, than any other time in the decades. I can't even say of the year because there's not always a major campaign every single year. And that's very profitable, but like companies and corporations like McDonald's and Pepsi and shit, like they're not investing in black media, but it's also the most foundational part of racism. And this is not even me throwing shade at white folks. White people don't want to support black media because black media ultimately shames white people because it tells history that white people don't tell. So if you run ads and we're funded through ads. I don't know if you guys know that. It's the only way we make money. When you hear commercials and those PSAs and shit talking about, I don't even know what our I tune them out. Oh, don't have guns in your house. Make sure your fucking cats are spayed and neutered and shit. We don't get paid off of those. So where the big money is, or where the big money gets spent, like McDonald's, Pepsi, Miller, Coors, like all that shit, they don't sponsor black radio. Too much controversy. And it shouldn't be controversial if Americans knew history. The shit that black people talk about is stuff that you should have known when you're in third grade. The amount of times I bring up shit and somebody will be a 7-year-old white person, but oh my God, Sherwin, I had no idea that black people went through that. Like, where? How? You know what kind of effort it takes to keep a whole race of people shielded from actual history, like shit that really happened. Sometimes when I talk about things that black folks have experienced in the diaspora, white people are like, oh, you're making that shit up. That never happened. I'm like, SE says that damn commercial about birds, they're so bad. But you know what those are? I'm gonna tell you what those are. Those are those PSAs that you hear. Xavier's actually doing a good job. He was like, fuck it, I'd rather play commercials from another radio station. Because if you listen to our shows, well, I don't listen to other shows because, I mean, you guys know me. I do my show. That's listening to 3 hours of radio right there, me doing my show. Then I come here with y'all at 7 o'clock. I'm not listening to other radio shows. But Xavier has been plugging in commercials from other stations, so we're not hearing those public service announcements. So sometimes when you guys listen to our shows or really any black talk radio, I don't know why we say this, because other races that have radio broadcasts don't say this. Oh, we got to go pay some bills. We'll be right back. And then they'll go to commercial break. Oh, we got to pay some bills. We're not paying no fucking bills if you're hearing public service announcements. Paying bills is hearing a commercial from Cousin Subs or Gruber Law Offices. That's paying bills because they are paying to have those ads run. Now, our general manager, Rob Biko Baker, said there might be an opportunity for members of the community to financially invest and be shareholders or stockholders in Milwaukee black media. That shit is dope. Because as we grow and expand and hopefully find ways to be profitable, shares you buy in us is an investment in us, and then we'll take that money and invest it in our expansion. And as we build and grow and become profitable, you'll get a dividend back on your share. That's how it's supposed to work in theory. Jasmine says Xavier does great, and so does Zach. I really love the both of them. Zach is my dude. Like Xavier, Xavier used to do Dr. Ken's show. And then Xavier did not do Dr. Ken's show. He would do like our evening and weekend like sports rebroadcasts, because sometimes we'll carry like UWM Panther games on 101.7. And Xavier was doing that. And then I don't know. I think Glenn maybe was somebody else was producing Dr. Ken. Dr. Ken has had 1,000 producers. Shit, I have too. And then my producer that you all may remember, Ricky. I talked to Ricky today, by the way. Ricky might be coming back. Ricky, who was with me, my producers at WNOV were Ricky and Keon. May Keon rest in peace. But Ricky has been producing my radio shows since 2013, maybe 2014, between him and Keon. So I'm very familiar with Ricky. Then we hired him at The Truth because Rhea was my producer, Savannah was my producer, Carrie was my producer, Kyle Wallace was my producer, and I got tired of it. I had a new producer every week. Zach produced me. He'd fill in for people and produce my show. But yeah, Zach is he's the OG. He usually joins us on these little chit chats. Zuri said those commercials had me confused in my car yesterday. Collector's Reign says y'all selling shares. Oh snap! Don't quote me on that. It was a suggestion because we got to get innovative in how we can generate money, because we can't lose the outlet, because there's a lot of value in it, and we've had some fantastic conversations. We also need a place for the fucking president of the United States to come and talk to black people in Milwaukee, because this is how arrogant we should be. The president owes us a conversation. If you're running for office, I don't give a shit what you're running for, dog catcher or Jesus, you should be coming to The Truth. Let's grab a telephone call. Hello there, caller.
Hey, Sherwin, how you doing? This is Dion.
Hey, Dion, what's going on, brother?
Nothing. Listen to you talk about your producers. What happened to that one producer? I think she had a slick mouth all the time. I can't remember her name. That ain't what I call.
They all do.
So I want to know how can I draw equity out of my home without refinancing? Because I always hear you talk about equity. Like how, because I don't want to refinance, but I wouldn't mind drawing some equity out of it though. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah, you can get what is called a home equity line of credit.
That's a HELOC. I don't want that neither.
Those are your only options, brother, unless there's some new like instrument that they created. Either you refinance and do a whole new 30-year or 15-year mortgage. That's the traditional way. Or you get it. Let's say you got 80 grand. Let me say 50 grand. You got 50 grand in equity. You can get a HELOC where they put 50 grand in a bank account for you, or they give you a credit card with a $50,000 balance on. You don't have to spend it. You can just let that money sit in that HELOC account or let that money sit on that card. But if you need a roof, or your air conditioning goes out, or your furnace goes out, boom, you use that money in that HELOC bank account, or you use that money on that card, and then you pay that back with your mortgage. It's good to have just in case you have like a medical emergency or you need big money. But those are the only ways to do it. Or the other way, the third way is sell the crib and get the equity and move in.
I don't want to. No, sir. No. It's too hard to buy a house. Even because I'm thinking about buying another house down. I want to buy me a house down south. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my real end goal. That's the whole reason. Like, I tell people that I started working, I switched my profession from truck driving to learn this janitorial stuff with MPS.
Yep.
Because my whole thing was really the boiler, though. Like, I'm about to go back to school at MATC to get my high pressure boiler license. So when I was introduced about the boiler, that was my whole thing, like with the boiler, you know what I'm saying, learning about the boiler. But when I moved down south, I don't want to drive trucks. I wouldn't mind working at a hospital or some type of factory that got boilers, or work for the city with the boiler, because some cities, municipalities have boilers for heat and electricity. Because we got big boilers out there in Oak Creek at We Energies, you know what I'm saying?
That's right.
So
That's a
that
trade.
was
Like,
my
you'll
highlight.
always be able to find work, assuming the businesses and
Yeah.
companies still have boilers. So that's actually a decent trade. So you can take equity in your house, Dion, and buy another
Mhm.
house with that equity. They will let you do that. So you'll
Yeah.
pull equity out of your house and use it as a down payment on the new house, but
Mhm.
you got 2 mortgages though
Okay.
too.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing though. Cause like I tell people, man, I'm almost 50 years old. I got more time behind me than ahead of me, and I want to make memories somewhere else. Though. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, Milwaukee, I love Milwaukee. Don't get me wrong, but I want to just, Milwaukee is not like it's cracked up to be no more. Like I be telling people, like, say for instance, right? I used to work at a school downtown. It took me because I stay on 79th and Silver Spring. It took me 30 minutes. It shouldn't take you 30 minutes to get nowhere in Milwaukee. And then now, it's like when I be listening to your show, I was hearing about all the construction and the bump outs. Like, was that your show or somebody else's show? Because I listen to somebody else early in the morning. You know what I'm saying? Your old competitor from the other radio station, and I think they was talking about Sherman Boulevard trying to turn it into one lane or something like that. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But now I understand why it takes so long to get from one side of town to the next side of town because they doing all this construction and this bump outs. But yeah, I'm gonna look into that HELOC. I'm probably gonna call educators because I deal with a credit union over a bank. You know what I'm saying? I prefer that, but I'm probably gonna call educators or another financial institution and get some more information about this HELOC. And I'm about to hang up to listen to you, Cheryl. And I appreciate you, man. It's always good talking to you.
Likewise, thank you,
I ain't gonna be
Dion.
able to. I ain't gonna be able to see you for Juneteenth to get a hug. Yeah, get a hug. You hear me? A
Yeah,
hug. That's what I want. A hug.
I'm okay.
All
I'm
right.
all right. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Okay then. Dion, he one of them dudes that he'll come up to you with his arms outstretched. Where my hug at? I know women are familiar with men, and it's kind of creepy when they do that. Where my hug at, girl? I ain't seen you, and it's not seen, it's synced. I ain't seen you since last Juneteenth. Where my hug at? And their arms is all outstretched, and Dion is gigantic and sweaty, and he wraps you up in them silverback gorilla arms, and you just are embraced, and he's hot. It's just heat. You got big man titties, and it is just hot in the heat, and you're both sweating and you're embracing, and then music starts playing in the background. It's a lot. I thought you could get anywhere in Milwaukee in 15 minutes. Didn't they used to say that? 15 minutes you can get anywhere? Construction slows stuff down. But we have to do construction in the summertime. That's why people get all mad. Oh, all this construction. You can't do it in the winter. So you got to get all the construction done. Y'all wanted reckless driving to stop. And there were a lot of meetings and a lot of town hall meetings, and a lot of people called your alderperson and you called the mayor. For years, y'all was mad about reckless driving. And so the city was like, we're going to literally change the streets. Are y'all okay with that? You know what people said? Do whatever you need to do. We're sick of it. And the city was like, okay. And now we get the bump outs and we're narrowing the lanes and shit. And now y'all don't like that either. That's some Milwaukee shit. While I will not encourage Dion to stay in Milwaukee if he finds opportunity somewhere else like a lot of people do, I think the city is actually better if you can afford the better parts of the city. We're probably going to have 3 to 7 Michelin star rated restaurants. We're a huge travel and tourism city. We have conventions here. Political parties have their conventions here. It offers more than I think it used to. Downtown used to be nothing. Before the Grand Avenue Mall, no one was going downtown. You were only going downtown to work, or that's where your bank was at. Because a lot of those old factory buildings that had closed were just vacant. Now they're condos and high class living. Take a look at your commentary. We want to know the tea on Savannah. I wonder if I can talk about it. I was told, so when she left, we did a truth politics roundtable. She had just left, just separated from Good Karma Brad. Just left, like that week. And typically when somebody leaves, we're not supposed to say anything about it. It's weird rules that we have because she also couldn't say anything bad about us, about the truth, and about Good Karma Brands either. They make you sign shit. Ben and Carrie had to sign shit where they won't say anything for a period of time. It's not a non-compete, but they can't say disparaging things about the employer for a period of time. And their period of time is ongoing into 2027. Carrie and I talk. I'm trying to get her on here, but y'all are going to ask her what happened. And I think that she's careful because if she violates, because they pay you, they put it, I wouldn't sign the shit. I mean, I say that now, but they put a piece of paper in front of you and here are the rules. You can't say anything disparaging about your employer. It's a whole bunch of shit. And then if you sign it, they give you a severance. But if you don't sign it, you don't get the severance. How I would look at it, and I don't plan on separating from Milwaukee black media that way, but again, it's not up to me how and if we separate. But I have this YouTube channel. So like I've been saying, because I don't know what I never know what is going to happen. Like one day we're owned by this person, next day we're owned by this person, whatever. So this is going to be my home. This is my channel that I'm trying to grow. We can have the same kind of conversations that we have, actually better conversations, deeper conversations, more uncensored conversations. I can bring on guests whenever the fuck I want to on this channel. This channel is actually 5 years old, but I just let it sit vacant because I was doing daytime radio. So Ben and Carrie, they signed it. How I would approach it is this, because if you are on air for a period of time and people like you and people listen to you and you have a bit of a fan base, the next venture that you go to, which is usually podcasting, people are going to want to know what happened, right? They're going to want you to tell your story. So if you don't sign the document and don't take the money, and the money is actually, I mean, I know how much it is. It's for young people like Ben and Carrie, that was hard to say no to. It was a piece of change. It'll move the needle a little bit. For us grown folks, it takes a lot to move our needle. But how I would have done it, but I'm also in a different place in my life than they are. They're still really young. I would have said, no, I'm not signing this. I'm going to say whatever I want, and I'm going to monetize the content of me talking about you. Because you can share your experiences, right? And a lot of companies worry about defamation, or they threaten people. Oh, if you say something bad about us, we'll sue you for defamation. That means you got to go to court and prove that the shit that I said isn't true. So if I said, oh, a couple of my coworkers were racist and they said this and they did this, and if the company's like, no, that's disparaging, that's defamation, that company now has to hire a lawyer, pay a lawyer, deal with going to court, and then all of the testimony about that company and that corporation and all the other shit that they may have done now becomes a part of the public record. So companies don't want to be involved in defamation. That's why they have HR. HR is for your employer, not for you. All the shit you tell HR, they're like, okay, oh, thank you for sharing this with us. Because they're always very accommodating. When you say to HR, oh, something happened and I have a disagreement with that employee, HR is looking at this. How can we mitigate this situation so neither one of these people sue the company? HR is not your friend. And I learned that. I've kind of always known it, but I really learned it when we were owned by GKB. Savannah flipped a switch that no one saw coming, no one expected, and it made working with her productively and cooperatively non-negotiably impossible. I thought she and I got along famously until we didn't. And everybody's like, oh, Sherwin, what did you do? Nothing. No one saw it coming. No one did. That was it. And then I think after that, I don't know, Ricky, I think produced me maybe. That was I don't wanna get into the weeds of it because it's awful, and I don't wanna, you know what I mean? That was 2 years ago. She was trying to hook me up with her aunt and shit, like, on a separate note, and I told and Savannah was really, really young. She was in her 20s, and I don't know if she quite understood my expectation of professional boundary. I usually don't fuck with people personally that I work with, very rarely. I gotta really trust you. But she wanted me to and her aunt came to one of the Beyond the Mics and shit, and her aunt was very attractive, very smart. But then I saw her aunt with another dude at the night market, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not interested." I saw her on a date basically, and then Savannah was like, "So my auntie can date whoever she wants." I'm like, "Yeah, of course she can, but I'm just not interested on being on somebody's fucking roster. Fuck out of here with that shit." So that was weird too. It was just a lot of unnecessary bullshit that was fucking petty. And you got to keep a clear head when you do the line of work that we do for the truth. And little distractions are so fucking annoying because they have nothing to do with delivering information to people that want to hear it. And anything that's distracting, you're just like, I don't want to fucking deal with this shit. Just leave me alone. The hardest thing for people to do, I come to find out in this life, is just leave you the fuck alone. It's the hardest thing for somebody to like, hey, leave me alone. I don't want to. I'm going to keep bothering you because I'm just going to keep bothering you. So and I think you guys were owed an explanation. So I was never given anything in writing that I couldn't say anything about what happened to my previous producer. But when Zach and I mentioned her when we were doing a politics roundtable, because Zach was producing our politics roundtable, this must have been 2024. Yeah. So that was 2 years ago. Damn, we haven't talked about Savannah in 2 years. Zach was like, he turned the mic on, he was like, yeah, like Savannah. And I was like, ha ha ha, blah, 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 something, something. Man, management had a fit. Like, you can't say anything. You can't mention her name. I was like, oh. And then for the next 2 years, I ain't say shit. I figured that she would have, well, no, she wouldn't want to tell the story because it might make her look unflattering. She was really promising, though. She was a dope ass producer until she wasn't. So that's, Jasmine says, we don't go on the list, we make the list people go on. Well, fair enough. I ain't mad at you, not one bit. That's Linda Johnson says HR is a demon. Jetty the poet said Ricky was a shit. Yeah, I just talked to Ricky today. He might be coming back. I don't know where we put him though. It's not up to me. I'm just trying to stay focused on my shit. You know how lucky I am that my show is uninterrupted, and that's all I can ask for. And I'm not trying to rock the boat. I'm not asking too many fucking questions. My colleagues have been interviewing people on all of their shows. I'm not doing any interviews. I think we should grab a phone call. Hello, caller. How are you?
Hi, Sherwin. How are you?
I'm doing well. Who do we have the pleasure of speaking with?
This is Miss Nikki.
Hi, Miss Nikki. I should recognize your voice. How you doing this evening?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking.
What's on your mind?
So I just tuned in, and I tuned in when you were talking with the gentleman, and you guys were discussing HELOCs, and he had mentioned moving back to the South. And I kind of want to bring this up, so I didn't want to kind of take you off your topic. But I wonder if you were aware of the huge remigration that's currently happening with a lot of African Americans who are going back to the South from their parents' hometowns, because I'm actually doing that, right?
The last 10 years, probably. It's been at least 5, if not more than that.
Yeah, most definitely. So, because my parents both came to Milwaukee, through the Great Migration, and my dad, who was from the deep Delta in Mississippi. So I'm going back to his hometown. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I'm currently negotiating some land and property in that city. And I think a lot of folks who own some of the land and the property there, who still has it, are getting kind of a whiff, right, of people moving back. So because, folks are knowing that a lot of people are coming back, the price of land is starting to increase. So I just wanted to kind of have folks kind of be aware of that.
That's right.
Because I offered for what I'm looking for. I actually pulled the paperwork, and I offered the owner like double of the price the land is worth, and she wants quadruple the price of the land. So, and she knows a lot of people are starting to go back to the South. So, it's not as easy to purchase land as it was maybe that 5 years ago, because folks know people are returning. So they're holding on to that land and they're jacking the prices up.
Makes sense to me. Well, good luck with your land purchase, and we appreciate hearing from you.
Absolutely.
All right, have a good one, Miss Nikki. So we're fortunate because my family owns land in Attala County, Mississippi, a fair amount, and my grandfather's dying wish that he said to his children. My grandfather died, my maternal grandfather, so my mama's daddy, died when I was 3. And he had acquired, and he only had like a 5th grade education. Like my grandmother, my big mama, taught my grandfather how to read. He couldn't read. In fact, my grandmother wanted to be a school teacher, but being born in Mississippi in 1917 as a black woman, let's just say she didn't really have a lot of opportunity. So she taught my grandfather how to read, and with him knowing how to read, he was able to do phenomenal things, including acquire a decent little piece of land in Attala County, Mississippi. So think Salis, Kosciuszko, McAdams, that area. And my grandfather's dying wish was, do not sell my land to those crackers. And we have not. So he's been dead almost 50 years. My uncle passed away. My uncle has 2 sons, my cousins. One of those cousins wants to sell his share of land because he inherited from his father, my uncle. We all offered to buy his land because here's what the fuck we don't want. I don't want and there's no guarantee that my cousin would sell his land to somebody black. He would sell his land, his share of the land. I think his share is like 10 acres. He would sell his share of the land to the buyer, whoever the buyer was. I can't have my family owning all of this other land and then somebody that we don't know builds a fucking house on our family plot of land. But Miss Nikki is absolutely right. There is a migration back down south. The reason why Georgia has 2 Democratic senators, and Georgia is a former Confederate state. Don't let Atlanta fool you. Georgia is more Marjorie Taylor Greene than it is Raphael Warnock and Jonathan Ossoff. A black dude and a Jew that are the senators. Black people moving back to Georgia from up north. Number of people in my family moved down to Texas. Texas has got the possibility of electing a Democratic senator, James Tallarico, not because it's a bunch of people hopping the border and registering to vote. The illegals in Texas are not fucking voters. Black people are moving from they're moving from Detroit, they're moving from Chicago, they're moving from Milwaukee going down to Texas. And the black folks that are moving from the Midwest down to Texas are voting, and Democrats are winning in Texas. That's the reason why you're starting to see this blueing of the South. So glad Miss Nikki called and brought that up. Scrolling through the YouTube chat here, y'all over here. I'm behind a little bit on the chat. Y'all telling Dion to wrap it up. Lady B, you thought they both had good chemistry. I'm curious as to who. Some of our hosts and producers they work very well together. I thought that Ben and Carrie worked well together, but Carrie's an actual journalist. Carrie is one of the few people that actually has a journalism degree. And when she got her show with Ben, Carrie was wearing more of a journalism hat and Ben was wearing more of a tinfoil hat. So I kind of saw Carrie growing and mature. Carrie is living her best life. She's the on-field host for the Brewers. She's on a tour with some podcast people. She just told me who these podcast people. They're out of Detroit. They're real popular. They're really popular. Damn it, I should text her. But Carrie is in Detroit and touring with this podcast. It's 2 black dudes. They're really, really, they're like nationally popular. I don't know what their names are, but Carrie's doing good. There was conversation about bringing Carrie back to the truth, but it's going to be on Carrie's terms, which I don't blame her for. Chiron says, I remember that conversation about the ant. Wasn't that weird? I don't take hookups. And somebody else said in the YouTube chat that Sherwin doesn't hug strangers. I do. I prefer they be women. I'm just not all that touchy-feely if I don't know you. And especially as a man, Men can't be touchy-feely, especially when it comes to women. Well, men shouldn't be touchy-feely with anybody. But I don't know. I'm kind of weird about that shit. Like, I've never gotten a massage before. A lot of y'all swear by getting professional massages. I'm not getting butt naked and laying on a towel with a towel covering my junk and a stranger touching all on me. I would be so self-conscious that I couldn't do it. I don't know how y'all do it. Many years ago when I was at WNV, there was a black woman who had a massage parlor. I thought she was a prostitute, actually, because she used to wear mink coats and sunglasses in the summertime and shit. So she opened, I think it's closed now, but she opened up a massage studio somewhere, and she advertised on WNOV. And she gave all of the staff at WNOV at the time free massage, like coupons for a free, like, 30-minute massage. I didn't go. Like, okay, oh, thank you, lady. I just didn't. My colleagues at WNOV went and got their massage. Oh, they loved it. I'm like, oh, cool. I didn't think nothing of it. So she's running commercials, whatever. She came back to the radio station and asked the manager at the time, Sandra Robinson, WNOV, why I had not come in for my massage. I'm like, that's weird. Why would you give a fuck? Because it's a free massage. So if you're massaging me, you're not getting paid. So why do you give a shit? The manager at WNOV was like, Sherwin, you really need to go. Like, this woman gave you a free massage. Like, she like pressured me to go. I'm like, fuck you both. And the lady was weird. She used to wear big sunglasses. She had she wore a wig. It was a nice wig, but it was a wig and full length mink coat. And she was just like weird. I'm like, I'm not letting that lady touch me. And maybe there was a happy ending involved, but I want to choose the person that gives me a happy ending, not the happy ending person choosing me. But yeah, I've never had a massage because I can't just let a motherfucker oil me up. And then they be trying to talk to you. Probably, how are you? Well, how's your day going? As they're rubbing you. I also had a friend that she's an idiot though. She called a massage dude off of Craigslist. She's stupid. Stupid. I love women and y'all are brilliant and intelligent, but how in the fuck do y'all how are you still getting played by men? Because we're dumber than y'all. So she finds this dude on it's Craigslist. It was a while ago. And Craigslist was a freak website. This dude comes to her house. I guess he's professional masseuse. It's not like she asked to see his credentials and his license. He just had a little ad said he gives massages. So he comes to her house, has his little table set up, and then she gets naked and lays down on the table. And he starts like touching her inappropriately. And now she's freaking out because now this motherfucker's in her house. She's naked. He's trying to play with her pussy. I was like, yo, I don't fucking need that shit. Miles says everyone should try the King Spa downtown. You know who else has what the fuck is his name? Nay. You guys remember Nay? He used to be in the YouTube chat. That's not his real name. That's the dude that Miss Shaq threw up on when I did the Blue Tender event. I was a quote unquote celebrity bartender at Blue with the Pfister Hotel raising money for Axe Housing. And a bunch of y'all came and got really fucked up. The amount of money that we raised, Truth Nation raised more money for Axe Housing that night that I was bartending than Axe Housing, because Axe Housing's vice president was there, and they brought the whole fucking Axe Housing staff, all their wives and spouses and shit. So you got all of Axe Housing and all of their friends and their family tipping because we were competing for tips. Y'all tipped me like fucking $3,000 and Axe Housing only got tipped like $1,700. I'm like, y'all niggas are rich and got drunk as fuck. So Linda, Miss Shaq, is Linda in the chat? So we looked around and Linda was gone and so was Nay. They disappeared. I was like, oh shit, I'm minding my business. Ain't got nothing to do with me. And Nay had inboxed me. He was like, yo, I was giving Linda a ride to her car. Some shit he said. I was like, you fucking lying. And he was like, yeah, she threw up on my pants. Should have kept that to yourself. Yeah, I will forever tell this story. That shit was fantastic. I love when people get together and have a good time. But while I was bartending at Blue, they trained me for 15 minutes. I don't know where anything is. I don't know how to make shit. And so Dee Kemp, who I love to death, I love Dee. She is the VP over at Axe Housing. And that's usually the person that you hear me talking to and interviewing when I'm doing stuff for Axe Housing. Dee didn't have to make no fucking drinks. So Dee came a couple hours earlier and she pre-made a drink called Dee's Special or some shit. So all of her people would be like, hey, can I get a Dee Special? And she would just put ice in a glass and just pour the shit out of this bottle because she had pre-mixed her fucking. I'm over here making Manhattans and screwdrivers and old fashions and shit. I'm putting cherry juice and gin and I'm spilling shit all over the place. Also come to find out that the bartenders and the staff at Blue, they hate those fucking events. Because also I can't keep track of everybody who's buying drinks. I poured so many free drinks. I don't know what the fuck was going on. Sure, can I get a drink? No. What do you have? And you have a gin and tonic. What did you have? You had a Tito's and seltzer. And I'm pouring. And Dee are just over there. Here you go. You want another one too? Here you go. I'm working my ass off. Bartenders have it rough. Jasmine says, hey all, checking in, but I gotta check out. Very early morning starts, so I'll watch then. Have a relaxing night. Thank you. I guess I'll recap it. Are we an hour? Yeah, we're a little bit over an hour. I'm gonna wrap it up in a minute. Some years ago, I said that I wanted Juneteenth to get enough respect to where it was held on the Summerfest grounds, and now we're having Juneteenth Friday and Saturday on the Summerfest grounds, but I still want us to have an African World Festival because I believe that Black people in the city of Milwaukee, who are 40% of the population, deserve to have an ethnic festival like the Germans and the Mexicans and the Irish and the Italians do, because we're the city of festivals. But the largest minority group, we're not even a minority group, we're a majority group, quite honestly. We're a plurality of people in the city, but we don't have an ethnic festival. And my problem with Summerfest is it's going to be overly commercialized, and I think it's going to be too expensive for the vast majority of us to participate in. I do envision having an African World Festival that pays homage to who we are, our past, our present, and our very bright future as Black people, but I would want it to be free. I don't want us to have to pay exorbitant amounts of money and getting ripped off $10, $12, $15 beers. But you know, it is what it is. Thank you guys. How are these broadcasts for you? Be honest. Meet me over in the Hughes Views 414 Facebook group. We'll continue our conversation there. And of course, we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Thanks, guys.